Hey guys, if you like the content, please be sure to like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're doing a Swiss Born of the Gods draft. We've opened Afara, who I think is good enough, certainly good enough for limited, and starting to make a splash in constructed as well. So I'm definitely going to pick her. Very good cards in here otherwise, though. Bioblight, Bolt of Keranos, Ari Worshippers, Nyxborn Triton, Retraction Helix, Nullify. I'm a little bit upset, actually, how many blue cards we're passing since we're taking a blue-white card to start. But this is worth some tickets, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm going to try and see if I can make it work out. But yeah, this pack is pretty open to almost every strategy. So that's cool. But yes, we're going to slam the god and see what we can get next. All right. Well, we're past a Bolt of Keranos, which probably is the best card in the pack in a vacuum. Course of the Tides, very good card. Meletus Astronomer, I like that quite a bit too. Okay. Divination, also good. Sun Guide's playable. Skirmisher's good. If I'm making a god work, which creature would I want the most? Well, Course of the Tides is certainly good. It's a good way to beat people. It's also a 4-drop. Astronomer is going to work really... I think I probably want the Astronomer here. It's not a kill con like Course of the Tides, but typically 2-drops are a little bit harder to pick up, at least good 2-drops. This is probably not the best card in the pack, but the best card in the pack is just the Bolt by a mile, but I don't think that I necessarily have to take it here. I would rather take the Astronomer and continue to try and make the Afara work if possible. And Astronomer in general I find interesting. If we get any sort of aura or enchantment, it can get very good. Alright, well, Fated Retribution, that's, this card is totally legit in my opinion. It's one of the few board wipes. It is 7 mana as well. But what are we really passing? A Disciple, the best cards in the pack, Disciple, Astronomer, Revoke Existence, certainly playable. Nothing too crazy, so I think I'm going to take the Fated Retribution. I don't think it's going to table, and we could definitely end up playing it. So try out the board wipe. Okay. Choices here. Well, Stratus Walk works well with Astronomer, as does Shieldmate. Pillar of War is certainly playable. Siren of the Silent Song is a very good card. I don't think I want to dive right into Esper. At this point, I would like to make the Afara and Fated Retribution work. Both of these cards are powerful enough. I think we probably do the Shieldmate. Interacts perfectly well with the Astronomer. Also interacts well with Afara in a pinch if I want to draw a card. So, yeah, I think that's probably, synergistically speaking, better for our deck than the Stratus Walk. It also makes our Astronomer a much better blocker. So, okay. Not passing anything too outrageous here. The Siren of the Silent Song, I guess, is pretty good. Okay. Now we have a second Siren of the Silent Song. Also Dawn to Dusk. Deepwater Hypnotist doesn't really intrigue me. This seems like a deck that's going to go winning late. Let's take the Siren now. For passing 2 of them, that's a pretty good sign. Blue-black's open. We may be able to just splash for the black. And who knows, we might even pick up a couple other things along the way. But yeah, we're just not passing anything of interest here besides the Siren and the Silent Song, which is certainly a powerful card. Okay, next pick. Well, Excoriate might be the pick here. We look like we're going to be definitely a slow and steady wins the race deck. So I think Excoriate at least gives us some outs to fatties. Nothing else of real interest here. Noble Quarry is certainly good. Snake's playable. Nothing else, though. Not too much else. Okay, now we have Thassa's Rebuff, but not really interested in that right now. Floodtide Serpent goes kind of infinite with Astronomer. and like Shieldmate or something. So it's at least a 5-drop that we could play. I can get behind that. Certainly some good red picks in here. That might be a sign that red is indeed open, but can't really pass up Crone Phalanx. Even without his ability, I just like 4 mana. Hill Giants with Vigilance are in fact good, and I think that's hard to argue, especially in a bestow format. Alright, definitely some good options here. So Mortal's Ardor is good, but it's either Stratus Walk or Nullify, I think, are the real options. Stratus Walk is okay with Astronomer. It definitely generates the heroic ability, which is good, but I don't like the idea of a 1/3 flyer that can only block flyers. So I think we're going to go with the Nullify. Counter spells are fine, and I'm sure people are interested in seeing me try this kind of archetype. Nothing too good out of here for us. Not really feeling the Radiance so much. Oathsworn's good. Let's take the Rollicker. Perhaps we can dip into a more reddish thing if we have to. Did see some red cards going fairly late. Alright, we can take a second Serpent here. Not great, but I actually kind of like the interaction between Serpent, Shieldmate, Astronomer, and Afara. It seems like some potential Omega card draw, so alright. Pillar, I'm actually glad we tabled that. Little do people know, even though it can't attack, it certainly can block. So 3 mana, 3/3 blockers in this format, I think, in this kind of deck especially, is actually very good. Evanescent Intellect, probably Hold at Bay at least as a sideboard option. I don't think I'm going to be playing the Intellect, or the Hold at Bay for that matter, really. Alright, take Scouring Sands. Alright, so pretty decent pack 1. I did end up getting a couple bomby cards, but we are going to have to clean up in these next couple packs with some more win conditions or protection. Sylvan Caryatid. Let me see how much that's worth. I think he's actually only worth a ticket now, so I don't care as much, because I think there are significantly better cards in here that we want. But I'm just going to take a quick peek at what we're dealing with here. Yeah. Not worth that much at all, so not a big deal. We could take the Vaporkin, which is a flyer, but doesn't really lend itself as much to this kind of control-y deck, so I think we're just going to go with the Griptide. It is a 4-drop, but very powerful effect, and one in which I like a lot. So I feel comfortable with that. Nothing else in here too crazy for us. Lightning Strike, if we were in red, would certainly be good, but maybe we wheel the Ray of Dissolution, which is definitely main deckable. Alright, Soldier of the Pantheon might be just fine. Also have a Divine Verdict. Verdict is better protection. Soldier isn't really what this deck wants to do. It is a 1-mana 2/1, and there are, at least a few multicolor guys he has protection from, but I guess we are more in the Verdict line. I guess Observant Alseid actually works really well with the Astronomer. Not the greatest blocker. We may just want the removal for now. Yeah, even though it's more 4-drop removal, which isn't ideal, I think it's certainly satisfactory. Usually you can find the threats later, and early you just want the removal. I do like Bestow a lot, though. And it's a 3-drop. We're probably not doing the Siren or this. So we are short on creatures, but I just don't know. Alseid interacts better with the Serpent. Alright, here's the thing. Based on our deck with the Astronomer, the Afara, and the Floodtide Serpents, I think actually the Alseid's better. Alright. Great options here. So we could get another win condition at 5. We could get a bounce spell. We could get a second Griptide. All of these are very good options. I do want the Prescient Chimera. At the same time, I definitely want the Voyage's End. The later the game goes, the better for us. This is certainly going to buy us time. Prescient Chimera is very good win condition, though. I like the evasiveness. I think we're going to go with the Voyage's End. I just in my brain I'm running through all the figures, and I just really feel like Voyage's End is the bigger luxury. Just really time buying, you know? This is a deck that looks like it could easily fold to red-white if it doesn't have stuff like Voyage's End and Astronomer, so I really just think we want that Voyage's End. That's just too important. All right, now we actually get a good win condition, so this makes me happy. We're going to take the Sealock monster, and that is certainly a satisfactory way to win, so I can get behind that. Chosen by Heliod would also be perfectly fine. Another cantrip aura, so let's take the monster here, and ideally we wheel Vanquish or Chosen. Okay, Hopeful Eidolon. We also have Coastline Chimera. I think we'd take the Hopeful. The life gain could be super relevant. It also, more interaction that works well with Astronomer, Flood Tide, and Afara. So, okay, let's do that. I like Coastline Chimera in this deck just fine as a blocker, but 4-drops are usually much easier to come by. Okay, we actually get some good options here. I think we're going to take the Curse of the Swine. I actually like it. We have ways to block. The cool thing is, let me think about this. Yeah, interestingly, if I exile one of my own guys and their guys, I can take care of their big threats, and if I have a Farah out, if I get rid of one of my, less important guys, I can actually get a Farah to draw me a card. So that's kind of cool. And plus, Curse of the Swine is actually just a very unusual card in general. It's very seldom that you see blue able to straight up exile creatures. Pongify is something that immediately comes to mind, but all right, Fate Foretold would be good. Opaline Unicorn is kind of piquing my interest as well. We have quite a bit of 4 and 5, so Unicorn might actually be the pick here. I just feel like being able to cast Retribution makes that easier. We're in need of more creatures and stuff to enchant on. It'd be nice to get the color fixing. Yeah, let's go with the Unicorn over the Fate Foretold and Battle-Wise Valor. Mnemonic Wall currently works well with Nullify, Voyage's End, Excoriate, Griptide, Fated Retribution, Curse of the Swine. That's enough for me, I think. Evangel, what do we got for interaction? Hopeful Eidolon, Nyxborn Shieldmate, Observant, Crowan Phalanx, Afara. It's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty good, now that I think about it, but, I mean, it's a good finisher. I don't think anybody can deny that. But let's go with the Mnemonic Wall. I think that potentially could be better. All right, Lagana Band Elder is actually perfectly fine in this deck. We have enough enchantments where we ordinarily, on a regular basis, I think we can get some good value off of that. Cavalry Pegasus interacts well with the Shieldmate and the Astronomer and the Phalanx. That's actually kind of intriguing. But nothing else beyond that at the moment. Let's take the Lagana Band Elder. All right, Stephenson Battle Priest is fine in here. Fine, not amazing, but playable. And Reverend Hunter Tables. Well, I think I fear the Reverend Hunter the most, so that card is very good potentially. All right, a Crowan Hoplite is certainly good for the red-white deck, and but I think Vanquish the Foul is actually playable in this deck as like a one-of. We're control-y, so getting some removal could be very good. I actually don't mind the way this deck's shaping up. I think we need to lower our curve slightly, but we've got a decent game plan going, so we actually have a good creature count, good spell count, so I like this deck so far. Neither of those cards matter so much, and second to last pick Sentry is pretty cool. We do have 2 pretty solid black cards for splashing now if I have to, but it really appears that we're not going to have to. We do have Opaline Unicorn though, so we could make it happen if we wanted, but I think 21 cards going into pack 3, we should be fine. Hey, Annex and Cymede. Someone mentioned how often I open this card, and I have to agree. Okay, I think we want the Wave Crash Triton. One of my favorite commons in the set. Works well with the Faro, works well with our Bestow. Dissolve, Omen Speaker, and Unicorn are all options. Even Lagana Band Elder, number 2, all of which would be satisfactory, but Wave Crash is just totally in line with what I want to do here, so let's take it. Follow-up pick. Last Breath, certainly playable. Unknown Shores opens me up for the Black Splash a little bit more. Still not really feeling that as much. I think we can take a Last Breath. I actually like, in a pinch, you can do it on your Wave Crash Triton to tap down a guy and gain 4 life. Might seem janky, but if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I've won a match because of that. So it's certainly doable. Crackling Triton would also be playable in here, but probably not necessary. Okay, so what's our first cut? Probably the Battle Priest. That's a better sideboard option. Is there really nothing in here for us? It seems we've discovered a pack that doesn't have any blue or white. Alright, well, let's take the card that would be the best against us. Staunch-Hearted Warrior is good, but probably not devastating. Chronicler could be good. If they get value, then our bounce spells become a little bit worse. Feral Invocation's decent combat trick, but I think because we have Bounce and Vanquish, it's probably not as good. Yeah, I'm really not sure anything in here. Well, Skull Cleaver could be good if we don't have the right blocker for it. So let's take the explosive damage guy. I do kind of want to hurt the red-white deck. It feels like someone's going to have a pretty good one. All right, Wingsteed Rider, absolutely. It's very, very happy to see that. It doesn't matter if you control. You can always play Wingsteed Rider. So our first cut's probably the Battle Priest, and we'll happily snag a Wingsteed Rider. It's a good win con. Once again, a pack that doesn't have any real clear value for us. So we can cut the Strength, but I think we want to cut the Perforos's Emissary. Just hate that out of this. Card is very difficult to deal with. So this is a 23 card deck right here. Pegasus is probably playable at this point. Astronomer, Shieldmate, Phalanx. Not great, but playable in a pinch. And let's be honest, there's really not anything else here that we want. Actually, maybe I don't want the Pegasus. I have to see what I'm cutting for it. I don't really see anything I would play it over. So why don't we just hate the best card once again? Probably the Marauders, since we have a good blocker system. So them kind of surprising us with Marauder could be devastating. Swan Song, not really feeling that. Last Breath number 2 would definitely be good for the sideboard, so I guess I can get behind that. And Crackling Triton, not really necessary. I like what we have else, otherwise here. So let's take the second Last Breath at least for a sideboard. All right, Coordinated Assault is very good. Snarecaster, not really what this deck wants. Guardians, we could take for sideboard in a pinch. Otherwise, I'm just hating Coordinated Assault. Guess we take the Guardians for sideboard. I'm one of those people that prefers to take sideboard cards before hating a card, and I think most people should do that. I do actually think that's the better technique to do. All right, Lagana Band Elder, 2, it's playable at least. Unknown Shores, we'll take it. Actually, we're not going to splash black, so let's hate the Arena Athlete. That card is very, very good. Underrated, in my opinion, by some people. Chronicler, just for random green-white players. Don't want them to get that value. Once again, this deck's fine. Gonna have to make a couple cuts, but we have more than enough ways to win. All right. Ray of Dissolution, we'll take that for sideboard, and Fleet Feather Sandals, sure. We have some guys that I wouldn't mind making fly. Probably not playing it. This deck's fine. We got enough win conditions. Floodtide Serpents aren't the most exciting ones, but Sea Lock Monster and Afara are perfectly legit win conditions, in my opinion. And I'm interested in trying this out in Limited and seeing what I think. So this deck looks like it came together decently. We're definitely playing the Faded Retribution. I wanted to try that card out anyway. And Curse of the Swine also playable as well. All right, let's put in the cards we definitely want. I think for now I'll just do one Last Breath. We don't need the Battle Priest, don't need that. We can put one of these in. Don't necessarily need two, don't need that. Probably doing the Hill Giant, but we'll see. He's also a, potential win condition. I like the Vigilance a lot in a Bestow format, especially when we have a Hopeful Eidolon. Demonic Wall, this thing, that thing. All right, that's 20 cards. Farah, Opaline Unicorn, Pillar. That's 23 with 15 creatures. Why don't we just set aside the non-creature stuff? Take a better look at what we're dealing with here. Let's see. Vanquish, Retribution, Curse. All right. Pretty interesting, eclectic non-creature spells. Let's take out the Vanquish for now. It's better main or better sideboard, I would guess. We could do the Lagana Band Elder as more ways to bash in or offset life gain. It also draws us cards with Afara. Not the best, though. 2 toughness. I mean, it trades. I feel like it trades with stuff relatively well. And, How much Bestow did I end up with? I got Hopeful Eidolon, Shieldmate, Observant Alseid. Didn't get as much heroic triggering stuff as I would have liked. I think that's potentially an issue. How many enchantments did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, which you can find on Astronomer as well, which is cool. That's about it. Okay, so a little bit short on the enchantment front, so maybe Lagana Band Elder is not as good. Could splash for the Sentry with the Unicorn and 1 Swamp, but doesn't exactly seem necessary. Ray of Dissolution is an actual kill spell for most things in this format, and it gains us life. Not most things, but certainly a lot of things in this format are enchantment, permanents, and gaining us life and buying us time. Seems like something this deck wants to do. This is 6 mana, and I just feel like I've already got better mana sinks than Vanquish the Foul. Let's put in the main deck Ray. I think I prefer that over the second Last Breath main deck. Okay, so how are we killing people? Well, Floodtide Serpents, Sealock Monster, and Afara are our win cons, which in my opinion is enough. Floodtide Serpent, once again, not a great win con, but 4/4 is good enough in my opinion. Pillar is a decent blocker. I still think I probably prefer the 3/3 over the 3/2, but I could actually see the argument for double main deck Lagana Band Elder. I think the real reason why is Afara Devotion. I just want to make sure I have enough ways to get Devotion. Plus life gain is something I want for sure. So and I want to be able to attack every time. I think we just did not get enough enchantments, unfortunately, to really turn those guys on effectively. That also is an argument against Floodtide Serpent, but I guess 4 enchantments. He can still block otherwise, and I think it's going to work. So this deck's okay. I think it could have been a little bit better if we'd gotten maybe 2 more Bestow creatures. I would have liked it a lot more. I do have some issues with not enough heroic activation stuff. I was kind of hoping to see some more, some cantrip auras. We didn't table any Chosen by Heliads. I actually think that's a big deal. But once again, this deck is totally playable. we can potentially get some good value in drag out games to get our win conditions online. I mean, Wingsteed Rider is also a win condition that we can't really deny. You can actually cast a Last Breath on Wingsteed Rider. It gets pumped, and then Last Breath is fizzles. So not great, but it's like put a +1/+1 counter on it for 2 mana. It's not great, but might increase the clock otherwise, so could work. Yeah, this is certainly an interesting deck. We need the blue and white, so we're probably going to do close to an even split. They say 9-8. I probably have to get behind that, but I guess I want the nullify early. I also want the double white early too. Okay, I think we are doing 9-8 white. We actually, I mean, the fact that we need triple white for Fated Retribution. This deck's probably about a 6.5 out of 10, something around there. Not great, but it depends on how well Afara plays for us. We have at least enough ways, I think, to get her online. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how this deck does. I think another issue that we ran into is not enough flyers. We only saw, what, one chorus, so 1 3/2 flyer, and we just, Vaporkin wouldn't have been great in this deck, but certainly playable. We really only got the Wingsteed Rider for flyers, so I'm actually very surprised about that. Very few flyers, but yeah, we'll have to see what we can do with our win cons. I like that we can deal with most creatures. That's good. This also deals with gods that are turned on into creatures, which is not to be dismissed. All right, we'll try this out. I'll see you round 1.